My name is Megan, and I am a Jamberry independent consultant. I've been with Jamberry for just over a year now, and I'm really excited to show you how I do my pedicures using our Jamberry wraps. So I have a lovely sheet of Everglam here, and all I did was I removed these top two wraps. This is what comes in the prize pedi packs that I send out to my party goers. And this is what we'll be using to apply wraps to my entire all 10 toes. First step is to always make sure that we remove all of the excess invisible cuticles away from the surface of our nail bed. So I'm just using my lovely rubber cuticle pusher here. All right, you can use this, or you could use an orange stick, or if you have a metal cuticle pusher, you can use that. So I'm just going to go ahead and push really lightly on the surface of the nail, letting that rubber cuticle pusher do all the work. So as I push away that cuticle, I'm going to make sure that I don't have any cuticle sitting on the surface of the nail, because our cuticle and our skins create oils, natural oils that will eat away at the adhesive of the wrap. So we want to make sure that all of our cuticle is removed from the surface of your nail. And I don't know about you guys, but my cuticles on my toes just love to sort of push up as my nails grow out. You can kind of see how, as I'm pushing my nails back, my cuticles back, that those cuticles are being removed. All right, my baby toe. All right, just like that. So now I'm all set and ready to go. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and cut your toenails before getting started, but I actually prefer to cut my toenails after I've applied my nail wraps, because then that's one of the ways that you can remove any of the excess wrap from off the tips of your toenails. So now that I have cleaned off my invisible cuticles and pushed back my regular cuticles, I'm going to go ahead and use my alcohol prep wipe here. And I just get these little generic ones, but you can also use anything from your medicine cabinet, like rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol, or if you don't have any type of rubbing alcohol or prep wipe, you can just go ahead and wash your toenails with Dawn dish soap or any type of grease cutting dish soap, because that'll remove all of those excess oils that sit on the surface of your skin and on your nail beds, because we want to make sure that any and all excess oils are removed from our nails, so that we don't have any issues applying these nail wraps and getting them to last up to 2 whole months. So sometimes I've actually had my nail wraps last even longer. Sometimes if I'm spending a lot of time in the water, I might have one little one fall off after a month or so. Then I can just replace that one, and I can keep the rest of them on for quite a while. So it's pretty awesome. All right, so now that I'm getting started, I've got my lovely wrap sheet here with my two wraps for the pedicure. So this one right here is what I'm going to use for my big toe. Okay, and this one I'm going to end up cutting down so that I can use that for my little toes. So I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. All right, gotta grab my scissors. So I like to keep my plastic backing on my nail wraps as I get started, because then that way I can handle it as much as I absolutely need to before having it on my toes, and then I don't have to worry about getting any of my oils for my skin on the adhesive. Okay, so just to get started here, I like to actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, but most people, they don't have a terribly rounded base to their toenail, and I don't either. So I actually like to sort of trim off this excess just a little bit down at the bottom to make a more flat edge to my nail wrap, like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure it on my toenail just to see how long I need it to be. And it looks to me like I need to go just about as high as where that the darkest triangles are there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it down to that size. Right, so now I'm ready to apply this one to my big toe. Now when I go ahead and I apply my nail wraps to my toes, I actually do a cold application and heat later, because it's easier for me in terms of getting the placement exactly right on my toes. And it's just how I've always done it, and I've never had any issues with it, so I really like doing it that way. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove my nail wrap from the plastic backing, and I like to use my orange stick, but you can use tweezers or any type of flat surface that will allow you to get underneath the wrap. Now, this is important for you guys to not touch the backing of this with your fingers, right, because we don't want to get any excess oils on it. So that's why I use the orange stick here. So now I'm going to go ahead and lightly place this on my toenail. As you can see, I'm shaking a little bit and don't want to get it exactly right. So then, just like so, and I'm just going to double check to make sure that it's on exactly how I want it, and it looks pretty good. So I'm just going to apply that 1, 2, 3 method like I do with my fingernails to my toenail, but I'm going to do a cold application. So I'll do my 1, and then again smoothing outward from the base to the tip, 2, and outward from the base to the tip on this side, okay? So like so, right? And you can even use your cuticle pusher, right, to make sure that it's down nice and firmly. And I'm going to go ahead and heat them all up after I'm done, okay? So I'll just do a couple of different nails for you guys just to give you a really good idea of how I get this done, all right? So now that I'm done with that first nail, I'm going to start cutting down this wrap here to use on my other toenails. So the way that I like to do this actually is I cut it into smaller pieces first. So for instance, there's one smaller piece there, and another smaller piece here. All right, and then from there, I'm going to cut it in half, like so, right down the center. All right, and then right down the center in this one too. All right, like that. All right, and then I use these, now that I've cut them down, to apply to my my smaller toes. And the way that I do that then is I go ahead and decide which one I want to put on this next toe, and I think I'm going to do this one here. So I'm going to pick up the small one, right? And I'm going to see how it measures. I'm going to use this rounded part down towards the base and see how that will look on my toe. And it looks like it'll fit pretty well. So I'm actually just going to trim off just a tiny bit off of the sides of the wrap right here. Okay, like so, like so. And now I have a lovely little wrap to put onto my second largest toenail. And this will go directly on here. And I like to leave this tip up here because then it'll be easier if I need to handle this nail wrap with my fingers. I can without any trouble. Okay, sorry for the focus, guys. This is the first time I'm doing my toes on video, and this is probably why, because it's a little difficult for me to see what I'm doing. Okay, so just like before, I removed that nail wrap with my orange stick, okay? And I'm just gonna go ahead and measure or try to get this exactly where I want it to go on my toe, like so. And again, you're always going to want to smooth out from base to tip, but with our toenails, they're so much smaller than our regular nails, so you kind of don't have to worry too much about that. I just like to make sure that I have it nice and strong on there, so like so. I've got those on. And I'm just going to do the rest of my toes before I go ahead and heat it up. So for the next one, I'm going to go ahead and do, let's see, I'll do this one. All right. And I just go ahead and I trim down. Well, first I'm going to measure to see how big it needs to be. So this one needs to be not quite as wide. And just like when you apply these wraps to your fingers, you want to make sure that you don't have any excess nail wrap that's sort of sneaking over the edge of your nail bed. You want to make sure that it's just touching your nail bed, not touching your skin or your cuticles. Okay, because we don't want any of those oils to get underneath the surface. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove this again with my orange stick here, like so. And like I said before, I like to have this excess sort of triangle up above so that I can kind of handle it easier and make sure that I get as much as possible onto my toenail before I remove that orange stick off of there. So like that, go ahead and smooth it down. All right. Use my cuticle pusher just to make sure that I have it totally on my nail. Just like that. All right. Ta-da! All right, so I know I still have a couple of these left over here, right? And I'm gonna use those on my two larger nails on my other side because I like that rounding effect. But I also have this lovely piece for in the center to do my remaining two on this side and my smaller two on the other side as well. And what I like to do is just basically create a similar effect to these ones with this larger one. And so the way that I do that then is I'm going to go ahead and cut this one down the center here, like so, right? And I'm going to cut down the center again. And then I'm actually just going to curve off one of these corners. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to curve off one of these corners. Just like that, okay? See how I made my own curve? And now this one's all set and ready for me to use on one of my nails. Just in case I didn't get that on camera, I'm gonna try again with this one. All right, so here we go. See, cut this down the square from the larger one. I'm just gonna go ahead and round off one of the corners here so that I can use that at the base of my nail, just like all of the other ones. I'm just going to round off that one corner just like so, okay? See, now I have a rounded edge just like I have on this one, even though this one was pre-cut this way. I've created my own version of it. So then now as I use this one, all I have to do now as I'm applying my wrap is again measure and see how big I want it to be, how much I need to cut off of those two corners on the edge, and not too much because that nail is still pretty large. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim this down on the side here. Just cut a little bit off of each corner. All right, just like that. Now this nail wrap is all ready to go onto my toenail. So just like that, I've got this toenail that I'm going to put it on. So I'm going to remove it with my orange stick. I'm again going to use that excess sort of triangle piece there to apply the wrap. And as I set it down on the surface of my nail, once again just going to smooth from base to tip and outward just from the center of the nail. It's a lot harder with the smaller nails to do it in the right direction, but it also makes it easier. Don't end up usually with too many wrinkles or anything like that on your toenails. So there you go, guys. That's how I do my cold application on my toes. And now I've got my lovely mini heater. Usually just a couple of seconds. Still waiting for this to get nice and hot. You can even use, if you don't have a mini heater, you can go ahead and use a blow dryer at this point. And since the wraps are already applied, with a cold application, you don't have to worry about any of the nail wraps sort of flying around the room, which is kind of nice. But then this way too, then you can do this while you're watching TV. If you have a mini heater, you can do this while you're watching TV and you don't have to worry too much about making lots of noise. So now that I have them nice and hot, I'm going to go ahead and push down on them with my rubber cuticle pusher just to make sure I've got a nice solid seal happening here. Okay. Like so, right? Okay. Once again, I'm going to smooth down. This time I'm going to do it with my finger just to make sure that I'm applying as much pressure as I can, just so that it stays on and it's nice and solid. Just like so. So I'm almost done here. I've just got this one last toe to do, so I'm going to go ahead and just use this other excess wrap here. I'll go ahead and measure, and I've got a little tiny little baby toe toenail, so it makes it a little more difficult. So I'm really going to trim this one down. I'm actually probably even going to cut this in half again. like this. And then I'm going to trim off one of the edges again, just one of the corners, so that I get a sort of nice rounded surface for that toenail. Just like this, and I'm going to go ahead and remove this wrap with my orange stick. Toenail I have the most trouble with is this tiny little baby one, and that's because it is so small. So I know a lot of consultants and customers love to actually, on their tiniest toenail, they like to apply nail polish or some of our nail lacquer or gel. So I'm going to go ahead and heat up that one. I'm going to do that one first, just simply because it's important that I get it in the right spot and attached, so that it doesn't fall off on me later, especially with how small that surface is for that to stick to. So now that I have it nice and hot, I'm going to go ahead and apply that with my cuticle pusher here. I'm actually going to go ahead too and push down with my finger. Just make sure it's on really nice and strong. Again, I'm going to heat it up. It's hard to swing, do things with my toes. Just like so. A few seconds. Right. I'm going to go ahead and push down again just to make sure that it's really nice and strong on there. Alright, now it looks like I do have a little bit of excess hanging off the edge there, so I'm actually even just going to take my fingernail clippers, just cut off that little piece that I don't want. Right, just like that. Make sure it's nice and solid on there. Alright, so now I have these lovely wraps totally applied. So I'm just going to go ahead, and what I do then is I just cut off the excess with my toenail clipper, and I do that now because I didn't cut my toenails beforehand, and I don't like to keep them too short anyway. So, but then this way I can clip off a little bit of excess toenail if I don't, that I might not need in that spot. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim that wrap right off of my toe. I don't like to use my nail file on my toes because I can't get a very good angle, and I don't have very good control over my file when I do it, so I prefer to use my clippers. Alright, so then I'm going to do the exact same thing on this one. Again, you want to make sure that you don't have any excess wrap hanging over the edge of your toenails, because you don't want it to catch on anything and pull your nail wrap off. So that's why I like to sort of make sure that I'm removing as much as I can. Just like so. And then this one. Like that. And like this one. A tiny little toenail. Okay, you can barely even tell that it's on there, huh? Okay, so there we go. All set and ready to go. I feel pretty good about it. Can you come back over and hold it up? Thank you. Feel pretty good about it. I think it looks really lovely. So this is, again, this is our Everglam. It's available with our current catalog. I think it's really pretty. And I hope that that was helpful. Just make sure you let me know if you have any questions at all. I'm here for you. And yeah, happy jamming. Okay, bye guys.